Welcome to Sriram IAS Academy. Today, I am going to continue the previous discussion. This is a demo for the purpose of introducing myself and our academy into the platform. Okay. So, now I am going to handle the GS part into paper 2, in that the international relations. The international relations. So far, I came and discussed something regarding political science as an option. Now, I am going to handle the part in terms of GS part, international relations. So, when I am going to discuss about the ideas of international relations, in mains point of view, you know very well question number 9 and 10, 19 and 20. So, each question is 12.5. So, approximately 50 to 60, sometimes 50 and 60. And there may be another possibility, a one question may come from paper 1 area in the area of world geography, international border conflict and all, or there may be other possibility, one or two question or one question always possibility in the name of paper 3 area, in the name of international organization, economic related organization, international economic related organization. Okay. So, in this manner, when I am looking into every year in paper 2, question 9 and 10 and 19 and 20, and one question may from world geography and another one question may from economy. So, based on that, minimum sure 4 question every year compulsory, and additional 2 or 3 question may come and added into. So, question may go up to 75 to 80 in mains examination, and there is always one essay paper related to the international scenario, 125 mark. And in preliminary minimum 5 question, at the maximum 11 question also appeared in UPSC preliminary level. So, this is the way you have to handle it, and I am going to look into the idea of international relations as an introduction. And other than that, when I am looking into the concept like the subject like international relations, it is the most interesting topic. The way how the international relations need to be properly discussed inside the classes will help student to be a very good administrator in terms of Indian administration as well as foreign administration, or in terms of Indian and Indianization in terms of relationship between center and state, and also relationship with our neighborhood countries. Okay. Even the directive principles of state policy is also talking about the principles of international relations within that one. And today in this international relations, I thought of discussing some areas in a very, very peculiar manner. For example, generally what are the topics we will discuss inside international relation in the name of bilateral relation between Indo and China, India, Bhutan, Indo, Nepal, Indo, USA, like that manner it will go. And international organizations like BRICS, like currently G20, etc., etc. But there is a core idea you need to understand in a very clear manner. Based on that, you can able to go and analyze the entire process of international organization and the way how the questions also appear. For example, in my previous video, I mentioned about the foreign policy perspective. You just go and see that one, you can able to analyze that, the way how UPSC asks question in foreign international relations, and the way how a student need to study for IR area on the basis of the perspective of international relations, national interest, geopolitics, bilateral relation with our neighborhood, and international political environment. These are the 4 components. Based on that only UPSC also asks questions since 1979 to till 2022. No doubt in that one. Do it as a homework. Classify the question, it will come under the 4 category. But there is another aspect in the recent trend, the way how the international organization in preliminary, half of the percentage of the questions are coming from organizational based, and out of 9 and 10 you can find 1 or 2 organization, 19 and 20 you can see bilateral. Properly the questions of international relations are divided into. So, instead of going and talking one particular organization, I just want to use this opportunity in order to give some kind of formulas or diagram. Based on that, student can able to use their own knowledge in order to develop their languages and the ideas in terms of international organization based methods. For example, when I am going to start, this topic is that something in the name of look east or look west, like that manner, the topic, general topics, organizational based. But what I am planning, instead of going into this idea of look east and look west or other areas, I just want to make some presentation, so student can able to understand and student can able to manage this part in very easy way. For example, when I am going to consider on the basis of the direction east, okay, west, central and Indian Ocean. The way how the concept of look east, it considers look east or look west or connect Central Asia and now Indian Ocean, or otherwise called as marine or otherwise called as blue economy policy. After 2010 the word became very popular. This is the way I am going to handle. So, when I am going to look into this topic is not related to India and look east or look west policy. I just want to give all kind of things in a simple manner in one class. When I want to look into the concept of look east, what was the compulsion for the country like India to go into look east? Because everyone knows the scenario which happened during 1990s, that India kind of countries and world accepted the process of liberalization, privatization, globalization, LPG era. So, when we are looking into the concept of LPG era, it becomes compulsory that we need to open our market to the world community and world countries to do business in terms of a trade regime, free trade regime and all. In the same way, India can also go to their platform and their country to do business with them. It is vice versa, not in unidirectional, it is a bidirectional. So, when I am looking into this process, but India cannot go there in western countries and do and fight with, because India just reformed her economy in 1991 in the name of liberalized, privatized, globalized India. So, what India looked, instead of going to western country and European powers, we can able to see on the eastern side, there are some funds are there. So, economy is the most driving force during the time of 1990s for every country, and the entire 90s process we can able to see that the crisis regarding balance of payment, the crisis regarding convertibility of currencies and all those kind of things are came into exist. So, in order to cope up with the situation and management, so it become compulsion that India kind of countries also started looking on the eastern side. When I am going to eastern side to do business, free trade, economy is the most important guiding principle for me. Economy is the most important guiding principle, basic pillar of India's look east, but there are always competition. So, how India is going to handle that competition? For that purpose, India added another dimension in the name of culture. A simple example, when India want to sell a chai, tea to Burma, to Philippines, to Thailand, to Cambodia, to Laos, Indian chai, tea, and China is also there, they are selling. Sri Lanka is also selling. Or China and India is a major competitor after 1990s. But how India can able to manage China's competition, instead of keeping the plain chai made by China, India can able to use a cultural relation to keep a Buddhist, a Hinduism based, other various cultural connection. On the basis of that, Indian product can able to compete easily against China and can able to popularize themselves. So, based on this idea only, they kept it in 1991-92 in the name of economy and culture is the guiding principles of India's look east policy. So, it happened exactly in 1992 under the visionary leadership of Dr. Manmohan Singh as a finance minister. So, based on that, the look east in 1991 came into exist on the basis of economy and culture as a core and basic pillars of India's look east policy. On the 10th year celebration of look east 2002 and 2012, 20th year celebration, there was a question appeared in UPSC preliminary, and which of the following is considered as India's look east policies, cornerstone and basic pillars, and answer is economy and culture. Simply a year based classification question in 2012 preliminary appeared. Economy and culture is a guiding basic principles of India's look east policy on the 20th year celebration of look east. But when I am going to consider this look east on the basis of economy and culture, my other purpose is that to do activities regarding trade facilitation. That is the most important, or in other way I can able to say that free trade is the most important thing, free trade. So, when I am going to handle this free trade process, it is very difficult, economy and culture, going and approaching every individual country. We cannot able to succeed in all ways. A lot of complication from one country to another country. So, it is a grouping, then it is easy for us to go into the idea of economic and culture as a guiding principle. For that, there are some kind of groupings are existing inside the area like East. So, India decided to go not only economy and culture, it is a multilateral approach, not a unilateral approach. It is a multi-directional process. On the basis of that, India approached the Association of Southeast Asian Nations since 1967. This organization is existing since 1967, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. But problem inside that one, that every 10 years once they will add new member. We waited for 77, 87, 97 and nothing happened. India fed up with some initiatives India taken. So, during 1990s, the economy and culture became the core principle of India's Look East policy, and India tried to enter into ASEAN as a member of Association of Southeast Asian Nation, but it is completely stopped by ASEAN countries. They decided to seal their relationship with only 10 countries, not more than that. So, India want to go for an alternative for this ASEAN. So, there is an alternative mechanism where India becomes the full-fledged member. I can able to say economy is the driving principle inside ASEAN on the basis of free trade agreement, but India was not able to enter into. So, India used the second pillar, culture. On the basis of the principles of culture, India entered into East Asian Summit. India is a full-fledged member of East Asian Summit. This is cultural based identity. It was initiated around 1991 and 1992 when LPG came into existence, when Look East came into existence. During the time, the Malaysia's then Prime Minister, Mr. Mahathir bin Mohamad. Mr. Mahathir bin Mohamad was a person who initiated the process regarding Look East during the time. So, on the basis of this idea, the initiation regarding Look East slowly and steadily entered into, or the concept regarding that idea of LPG or Look East came into enter into, or the most important cultural aspect. It was initiated in 1992 by Mr. Mahathir bin Mohamad in the name of East Asia Summit. But at last, finally, the first summit only happened in 2005. India became the full-fledged member of this East Asian Summit. India plus East Asian Summit. Lot of other East Asian countries also there. Their main objective to strengthen relation in terms of culture. But there is another most vibrant thing came into exist. If economy and culture is there, then definitely there is a possibility of strategy. Because economy and culture alone can be a basic pillar for any country, the strategic interest is the most important thing that very openly came into exist when the Look East changed into the category of Act East under Mr. Narendra Modi ji. Act East policy came into exist after 2016 came into exist, and this 16 only the India like strategy became the core pillar of India's Look East policy came into exist, economy, culture and strategy. But the initiation regarding strategy was initiated around 1990s itself during Look East policy. So, on the basis of that, there is an organization during the time in the name of ASEAN Regional Forum. ASEAN Regional Forum. It is a military, a strategy based concept, a security based arrangement. India became the member of ASEAN since 1996 itself. And when India became the member of ASEAN Regional Forum, it was the first organization beyond the umbrella of United Nations India joined. Generally, when India want to go for, always go into the category of United Nations Blue Helmet Policy, UN Peacekeeping Force. And beyond the UN Peacekeeping Force, India never and never. Only one exemption, that Indo-Sri Lanka military, the way how Operation Pawan happened inside Sri Lanka, Indian army entered into Sri Lanka and Indian peacekeeping force, before and after never. but ASEAN Regional Forum was the first initiative beyond the concept of Look East came into, beyond the concept of military came into exist, that became the first organization India entered into beyond the UN Blue Helmet policy. Then when I am moving further, the ASEAN Regional Forum helped India to achieve its strategic interest. That East Asian Summit since 2005 helped India to build a good relation with the cultural cooperation of ASEAN countries, and this ASEAN since 1967 we are trying our level best to enter into, but not able to succeed in a successful manner. So what happened on the side effect of 1996 impact, ASEAN closed its membership with India with only 10 countries. So the same year in 1996 India initiated certain things in the name of BIMSTEC. Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand Economic Cooperation 1996 came into existence. To provide alternative to this ASEAN, for example, when I am seeing Sri Lanka and Thailand, or Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Thailand. So when I am looking into the region of ASEAN, okay, this is ASEAN. I can able to see the members of Burma, Myanmar in modern terms, or I can able to see the Thailand is also there inside ASEAN, and the BIMSTEC, when I am seeing BIMSTEC there also Thailand and Burma is there. So India cannot penetrate ASEAN market for its trade, but India created her own institution like Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand Economic Cooperation into 1996. On the basis of that, India using these two countries, the two buffer state, Burma and Thailand, which can able to connect India into ASEAN. Indirectly India penetrated ASEAN market. But in 2003 and 4, the Bhutan and Nepal or the other countries also joined into this organization like BIMSTEC. So you can't able to keep the name Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka. So it became compulsory to change the name. So Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand Economic Cooperation converted into Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical Economic Cooperation. Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation 1996. It was in 2004 converted into. And their main objective to create free trade agreement. Since 2003 onwards, India is trying its level best to make the free trade agreement with those countries, BIMSTEC. But unfortunately, after 2010, the process of penetrating into India, into ASEAN somewhat succeeded, because in 2010, India signed the free trade agreement of goods with ASEAN, and 2015 onwards, the free trade agreement on goods and services also came with ASEAN. So now purpose got fulfilled. So India's importance towards BIMSTEC as an economic and trade organization become diluted, and India penetrated into ASEAN market in terms of FTA goods and services. So that was the main driving force we can able to say into the category of Look East, initiated in 1992, converted into Act East in 2016 later part. But there is a slight variation in Look East and Act East. When I am focusing on Look East, started with the principles of economy and culture as a guiding principle, but Act East added a very vibrant policy of strategy as the third important pillar inside this Act East policy from economy and culture. And Look East starts from Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam into the category of the mainland of Asia and near to the surrounding areas of Japan, Korea and all. But Act East want to go beyond this area of territory of Indian Ocean, and it moved into Australia and New Zealand, and it crossed the area of Micronesia and Polynesia, entered into the Pacific Island Ocean also. So that become a major difference I can able to say when I am seeing the concept like the Look East policy only starts from the area of Myanmar and ended into the category of before Australia and New Zealand. But Act East, the very vibrant policy, started from including Bangladesh and included the areas of northeastern state for its development, and starting from Myanmar and Laos and Cambodia, on the basis of that it crossed the area of Australia and New Zealand, entered into Micronesia and Polynesian Island in order to establish our relationship between those countries, and contain China is another most important thing. Based on that, Act East policy really became a vibrant Act East policy. So this was an idea. For this purpose only the achievement of the bilateral relation with countries are necessary. Apart from this, groupings also necessary. ASEAN came into, East Asian Summit came into, and BIMSTEC came into, ASEAN Regional came into. These are the 4 important organizations we have to discuss in bilateral relations. So now you can able to understand why we are studying, why questions are appearing in this area, in this organization, because it is part of Look East policy. Then when I am going back to the other area, Look West policy, okay, since at the time of 2004, I can able to say, under Dr. Manmohan Singh as a Prime Minister of India, he was then Finance Minister, now become the Prime Minister of India. And after 2014, I can able to see that the Argumentative India, the book written by Amartya Sen, who compared India and China from 91 to 96, 91 to 96, who completely seen some kind of difference, that parameter of health, all the developmental parameter. Sorry. Both India and China was almost equal. But after 2000, the political instability happened after 1996 onwards. China went far ahead of India. And again in 98 to 2001, India somewhat established a coalition form of government and strengthened her presence. India started growing. India became an ordinary country before that, economically reformed, newly reformed country, moved into the category of most empowered economy. So once this economy became broad and wider, in terms of infrastructure development and all, in terms of forex reserve and all, in terms of lot of new foreign currency and foreign institutional investors and participatory note and all, it become compulsory for a country to develop their infrastructure more and more and more. For developing infrastructure, I need the most important thing in the name of oil. I want oil, energy. Based on the energy, I can able to develop my infrastructure in various ways. But once energy is the guiding principle for India's Look West policy, but there are a lot of competitors. Why they need to give a subsidized price to India? Pakistan is there, organization of Islamic countries are there, but India is not in their goodwill. So India need to do something. India's presence must be felt inside the organization of Islamic countries and all. So what India put, apart from oil, the diaspora is another most important thing which become the guiding principle and basic pillars of India's Look West policy. Diaspora and oil, these are the 2 important pillars, basic pillars of India's Look West policy. So for achieving oil, the bilateral agreement, other various things, but diaspora. So in 2003 onwards, the concept like diaspora became very vibrant under the able guidance of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So for this purpose, the Indian government appointed a committee under Mr. L.M. Singhvi. L.M. Singhvi is a word you will learn in 3 places, in polity classes and also in IR class. When you are going to discuss about citizen charter, citizenship, in diaspora wise, you will first time learn about the idea of concept of L.M. Singhvi. He was a person who first officially defined the concept of diaspora. L.M. Singhvi committee talked about diaspora, sorry. Okay. Second time you will learn about L.M. Singhvi in Panchayat Raj classes. There might be an idea regarding L.M. Singhvi committee recommendation, Panchayat Raj institution. There you will study about L.M. Singhvi. And even before that one, it was in 1960s beginning that L.M. Singhvi coined the term Lokpal. In this 3 way, in students of UPSC want to and need to learn about the person like L.M. Singhvi. One is in terms of dual citizenship diaspora community, another one is the recommendation of L.M. Singhvi upon Panchayat Raj institution, and third one is Lokpal was coined in India by Mr. L.M. Singhvi. Okay. So here I am looking into this idea, look east, look west, and just I want to connect this idea with another important principles of the Government of India Act 1935. Government of India Act 1935, we know very well, which completely separated Burma from India. Already UPSC asked this in preliminary question, GS polity area, on the eastern side of India. Everyone note, Because British don't want to see the development of non-cooperation and civil discipline movement inside India. It may spread via northeast into Burma also. They may ask independence and Azadi. So, better separate Burma from India. Happened in 1935 and it first enforced in 1st April 1937 when the 35 Act came into force. But in problem here, it is not only as per our knowledge, on the part of government of India 1935, we not only separated Burma as a part of Lug East, there is another important idea to connect with the Lug West also, completely separated from the country like British India and made as a separate country later part. So, I can repeat the point that 1935 Act on the eastern side, Lug East policy wise, separated Burma from India. 1935 Act also separated another area from the western part in the name of Aden. Aden was part of British India until 1935. After 1935, the Enforcement of Government of India Act not only separated Burma on eastern, on western side, Aden got separated and annexed with Yemen. And after independence, Yemen and southern Yemen and northern Yemen joined together and it became Yemen. And around 1617, there was an operation done by Indian military into the area of Aden port to rescue more than 44 country people in the name of Operation Rahat. That became a very popular and that proved the importance of India's Lug West policy in this particular region. There may be a possibility of asking these kind of questions in preliminary IR area, not yet discussed in any classes. So, when I am looking into this area, Lug West policy, I told oil and diaspora is the most important guiding principles of India's Lug West policy. But after, when time moves on and moves on, the way how we added strategy here also the strategy become most important thing, Based on this strategy, India signed another important thing in the name of I2U2. It was asked in 2022 prelim mains examination in IR area is the best example I can able to say. The Lug West strategy become very important in the recent past and become a third important pillar. India and Israel, UAE and United States of America, it was considered as a Western Quad, a quad formation we are going to study in after some time. But it is considered as a Western Quad on the basis of Abraham Accord signed by Israel and some other countries, again enemies of Israel. So, based on that, this idea of I2U to become the dominant things, which we can able to say with the help of the idea of India's very vibrant Lug East policy, which added the third important pillar in the name of strategy. Then other than that, after looking into this matter, other than that, when I am going to the main area, when I am going to this area, connect Central Asia. So, herein again, when I am looking into the Central Asia, there should be a guiding principle, the way how UPSC asked in Lug East, same way. Here, energy, natural gas is a guiding principle along with the principles of technology transfer of technology transfer. Okay. And other than that, there are some more things in the name of strategical interest we need to have. Energy, technology transfer and strategical interest India is having. These are the three guiding principles. To strengthen the energy, we know very well the way how India is making so many agreements with in terms of natural gas and other various uranium, oil, new fuel, etc. with countries above Pakistan, above Pakistan we can able to say simply. And even for strengthening the technology transfer, the way the former colonies of Soviet Russia can able to provide lot of technologies indirectly, example Project Jasmine. And the most important, the strategic interest we can able to say, India is having only air base outside the Indian soil. Anywhere you can able to see, the Farhur air base is the best example. I can able to say the only place where the Indian army, Indian Air Force is having bases outside our territory. Strategic interest. And going to those countries one after another, it is impossible for a country like India. So, instead of strengthening those mechanisms, India moved into the category of Shanghai Cooperation Organization as a regional one. In ASEAN Regional Forum, East Asian Summit, there I elaborated the idea of importance for organization, and here the best connect Central Asia policy can be able to achieve only by the successful implementation of and the integration of India with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So it was an organization at the same period around 96-97 become initiated with the 5 countries of China, Russia and Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. But in 2001 Uzbekistan joined as a 6th country, so it became compulsory for them to change the name.